Fossil means something have to become from one living material. So today, one of the biggest energy source is our fossil fuel. Yeah, fossil fuel is available in 3 different kinds of forms: oil, coal, and natural gas. But the question is, how we got the news from this kind of energy sources? So for getting the appropriate answer, we need to go back 460 million years ago, or the age of dinosaurs was exist. So on that time, actually, a lot of dead plants and animals were exposed to high heat and pressure, and that causes in the earth crust the formation of this kind of organic materials, which we are getting now as oil, coal, and natural gas, which is non-renewable. That means it will be depleted over the time. And today's world energy is getting by mostly from non-renewable energy. Yeah, currently fossil fuel provides almost above 80% of the world energy supply. Yeah. And the most contribution part is petroleum oil. We are getting like almost 40% of the total energy from these sources. And a little bit contribution of nuclear plant and renewable energy is playing a great role to keep our industrial revolution. But most concern is this big contribution of fossil fuels will run out after the time of 200 years later. Yeah, scientists are predicting that petroleum will run out within 50 years and natural gas within 65 years and coal about 200 years. Scientists are actually trying to develop as alternative renewable source, which are so-called wind power or nuclear power or solar power. As we know, the rapid depletion of carbon dioxide or fossil fuel source will occur. So it's time to think to develop non-renewable energy. So as fossil fuel forms millions of years ago, many hundreds million years ago, that's why it is called non-renewable source. So all these kind of 3 forms of non-renewable source we can simply getting by the dipping the bottom of the ocean, and we can mining it, and then we can just apply the combustion for getting 3 different kinds of forms. But this fossil fuel also need a lot of conditions to form. Firstly, they need saturated environment and aerobic conditions, I mean without the presence of oxygen, and obviously they need high temperature and pressure. However, if we go back around 360 million years ago, a complete new evolutionary path was being explored, which led to a precipitous drop in carbon dioxide, an abrupt rise in atmospheric oxygen. For the first time in the Earth's history, planet began to grow on land. So before this plant growth, only the Earth was restricted to the ocean. But due to the presence of oxygen and the trees and plants try to grow, and with the time they were dead, and these dead plants and animals goes to slow decomposition, because most of the plants contained like lignin and cellulose, where is a very slow decomposition rate was found, and by the time they were covered by the sediment to the bottom of the ocean, and they was fragmented like a solid coil, and that we are getting from by dipping or mining, because this microorganism store the carbon in their bodies. So that is the source we are using now, this kind of source, this kind of primary energy source as non-renewable. Fossil fuel primarily composed by carbon and hydrogen atoms. By when we apply the combustion, they produce like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. It's actually coming as their byproducts. But over the years, this gaseous emission have impacted our environment adversely and have contributed greatly to effect of global warming. As I mentioned earlier, it formed a million of years of ago to the formation of this carbon cycle, and which is led to the formation of oil and natural gas due to high pressure and temperature. One thing also should be mentioned that only the high temperature is not exist the surface of upper surface of the earth, but also the bottom of the ocean also has a lot of high temperature, which is the main reason to formation of this kind of fossil fuel. And now the industry is mostly dependent on of these energy sources, but the main disadvantage, they are emitted a lot of carbon dioxide. But oil is found more convenient to the industry revolution, which is we are using as gasoline, and natural gas also has a lot of advantages in heating applications.